Well, switching gears now to Florida and local politics, he is pro-life, pro-gun, anti-Obamacare, and believes the federal government has exceeded its role. Former U.S. Attorney Ken Sukhia has launched his bid for Congresswoman Gwen Graham's House seat, and he joins me live tonight to talk about his campaign. Mr. Sukhia, how are you?
Oh, fine. Thank you, Jennifer.
So why are you running?
I look at the candidates, and I see that often candidates run as conservatives, and then they get to Washington and they vote as moderates or liberals. And I'm sick of that. And I looked at my record, and I gave it a prayerful consideration, prayed about it, and specifically prayed one night for a sense of calling to pursue it. And at that time, I came in the next morning and learned that Reverend Franklin Graham was speaking at the Capitol. And I went to the Capitol, and I was in the crowd when he said he encouraged Christians to prayerfully consider running for elective office, and I took that call to heart.
And you are obviously a devout Christian. I wanted to talk to you about how Franklin Graham played a role in you joining the campaign trail. How will your religion play a role? Well,
I think it has an impact on my entire life. It has. I came to Christ when I was 23 in college, and I was blessed to be appointed by appointed the United States Attorney here by the first President Bush. Even in that position, I took my call to heart. I was identified by the President as one of the top 3 U.S. attorneys in the country prosecuting pornography cases nationally. I went on to fight Planned Parenthood. I'm the only candidate in the race to have actually had a knockdown, drag-out 8-day trial against Planned Parenthood and the National Organization for Women when I was defending the Florida Parental Notice of Abortion Act. Much of my work in both my career and in general has been to fight on the front lines for conservative causes. For instance, I went to Washington to testify on behalf of Terry Schiavo on my own dime, and also went there to argue in support of the Internet Decency Act.
And you also said that as U.S. Attorney for North Florida, you've put away domestic and foreign terrorists.
Yes.
How does that resonate, or I guess how is that going to become a thing if you are elected? How do you defeat ISIS?
Well, I looked at what ISIS was doing, and I'm sure, as most of the audience did, I could not believe that at a time when they were beheading Christians and others, when they were burying children alive, when they were burning people in cages, that our government did not act. It seemed to me that at that time, most Americans would have said, yes, this is the time to go. If there was ever a time to go and stop it at that time, that would have been it, right at the outset. But now I fear it's at our back door. And when I say I prosecuted terrorists, both domestic and foreign, they included narco-terrorists from Colombia, the Colombian cartels. In fact, I personally had a hit out on me by the head of one of the Colombian cartels. Was called to Washington because of that hit. We put drug gangs in prison, many of whom were responsible for multiple murders. So I have fought those battles. But not just in that front, but when I left the U.S. Attorney's Office, not just fighting Planned Parenthood, but I also fought to stop Obamacare when I was called in by the Attorney General in 2009 to assist the legal team in that battle. So I feel that I'm the only candidate with a proven lifetime record of fighting on the front lines for conservative causes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here tonight, Mr. Sukhia.
Thank you, Jennifer.